Hello there. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to answer that marvelous musical question. Can there ever be too much of a good thing? Now, I need to clear my throat for this one. You all know that I enjoy music for neglected instruments within limits. Some instruments are deservedly neglected, others less so. But one of the more entertaining neglected instruments I've always thought is the modern concert harp. I did a video on 7 major modern harp concertos. Really, it's a wonderful instrument. And if you hear noise, the window's open. It's a lovely day here in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is in my living room, and we'll just have to deal with it because I'm not closing the window. It's lovely out. So, when can you have too much of a good thing? I got the answer for you. I'm not kidding. It's this box, The Art of Madame Lily Laskine, one of the great harpies of the 20th century. Or maybe I should say that in French. She's a harpeuse, maybe a harpoon. I don't know. Whatever they do, they play the harp. And this set, here's that was the booklet. Wait a minute, I'll show you. This is the box, if I can actually get it here we go. The box here, I'm having a moment. The box here has 14 CDs of Lily Laskine playing the harp. That's a lot of harp, but that's not the point. The point is that for Mademoiselle Le Harpoon, there were probably about 3 pieces of music that were worth playing when she was learning the harp. No, seriously, in the French repertoire, there are a few, and she plays them, and we'll get to them. But in the international repertoire, there are 3 harp pieces that get played regularly. There are others that should be played regularly, but that's another question. We're talking about what people do and what labels are willing to record. Primary among them is the Mozart Concerto for Flute and Harp. Now, as we know, Mozart detested both the flute and the harp. He wrote the piece under pressure, and basically it's junk. It's just pleasant junk. I mean, it's not very good. If you want a great harp concerto from the classical period, we listen to the Bois Dieu, which is gorgeous and not junk, but the Mozart is junk. But that's what everybody wants to play because it's by Mozart. Then you jump about 130 years or so, and you get to the Debussy dances for harp and strings, which are the subject of a video I have already made, and the Ravel introduction and Allegro, both of which were written because of a harp competition between the modern double harp, and with the pedals that go up and down, and the or triple harp, whatever you'd call it now, and the chromatic harp, which was a big failure. And so no one plays it anymore, but everyone plays these pieces because they're marvelous. That's the harp repertoire. That's basically it. There's the lovely Reinecke Concerto. That's the only harp concerto in the Romantic period anyone cares about. And then there's a whole slew of wonderful harp concertos from the 20th century. The only other harp concerto that sort of eked its way into the repertoire now and again was Handel's, which of course became one of the organ concerti of, I think it was Opus 4 or one of those. Yeah, it's Opus 4. Is one of those concerti is a harp concerto, and it's actually played usually on the organ, but sometimes it's played back on the harp. And now with period instruments, you can make it sound sort of dry and nasty like the rest of. I'm just kidding. Don't write and say, oh, you're not talking about all period instruments. Some are very good. Yes, some are very good, and I'm the first person to say so. Most suck. That's that. The point now is that here we have Madame Le Harpoon with her 14 discs of harp music. And the question I asked at the beginning of this lengthy digression was, can there ever be too much of a good thing? Let's find out. We're going to go through, as is our practice, every single bloody disc in this box here. And we're going to find out if there's too much of a good thing. Disc numero uno. Number eins. You get Vivaldi's Concerto in C major for 2 trumpets, 2 flutes, oboe, cello, harp, organ, harpsichord, and string orchestra. Boy, there's an opportunity for the harp. I guess they just needed someone, and she was like having lunch in the next room, so they dragged her in and had her play it. Then you get Handel's Harp Concerto. There it is, in B flat, and the Mozart Concerto for Flute and Harp. Oh, there you go. All the harp repertoire there is to have. No, and finally the Gossec Symphony Concertante du Ballet de Misra. And that's fascinating. The only catch is the harpist is not Lily Laskine. It's Odette Le Dentu. Don't ask me why. I guess she was just on the disc. And Lily could not be bothered to learn the musique. Next we get Krumpholz's Harp Concerto in F. Opus 9, number 6. That means there are more of them. No, I'm just kidding. Krumpholz was actually a major harp composer. His wife was the harpy in question, Madame Krumpholz. She appeared in London with Haydn on his programs where he introduced the London symphonies to everybody, and the concerto feature du jour was often Madame Krumpholz and her miracle harp. And then there's the Boieldieu Concerto, which, as I pointed out, is absolutely lovely. And here's an interesting novelty. Borsa, Harp Concerto in D minor, Opus 15, number 1. Now, that's an interesting work, and you don't hear too much of it. Next, okay, here we have some fairly fascinating works. You get, remember, Hyacinth? That's a French name for somebody, usually male. Why would you name your child Hyacinth? I mean, it's like if my brother were named Rhododendron. I don't get it. Anyway, his name was Hyacinth. And Hyacinth Jardin, his Fantaisie Concertante. Well, isn't that lovely to have? The only trouble is that's for piano. It's not for harp at all. Robert Véron Lacroix. I keep reading that Vernon, but it's Véron Lacroix. He's the pianist. Then you get Borsa. His name was Eugene, I believe, Eugene Borsa. His Irish airs. And finally, some guy named Naderman, Trois Pièces for harp and orchestra. This is always Jean-François Paillard, but these are little fluffy thingies of minor significance. Then finally we get the Reinecke Harp Concerto, yay, with the Bamberg Symphony under Theodor Guschelbauer. Now, Reinecke is a masterpiece of its type. It's a beautiful, beautiful work. And there it is. So there we have now gone 3 discs in, and we've covered most of the harp repertoire there is to cover, because on disc 4, we get the Debussy, Dans Sacré et Profane. Big surprise, finally. And then Pierney's Concertstück for harp, which is quite beautiful, and a serious work for the instrument, which nobody plays. That's very nice to have. And the Jolivet Concerto for Harp and Chamber Orchestra, which I didn't mention in my harp survey, and perhaps should have. This is a very nice disc. Some very interesting stuff there. You should note here, though, that the playing times are very, very short. I mean, we got 9 plus 15 plus 18. So it's 33 to 41 minutes. That's about it. Jolivet is conducting, by the way, his own concerto, which is great. Next, some musique de chambre. Oh, yes, it sounds wonderful in a chambre. The Debussy Sonata for Flute, Viola, and Harp, a late masterpiece by Debussy. Then the Ravel Introduction in Allegro. So there we go. Ibert's Trio for violin, cello, and harp. Caplet's Conte Fantastique. That's based on Edgar Allan Poe. That's gotten a lot of play lately. The Conte Fantastique. No, it's the Florent Schmidt harp thing, the Haunted Palace. I don't know. One of those French things is for harp, and it has to do with Edgar Allan Poe. But the Conte Fantastique is quite beautiful, too. And then the Pierney Free Variations and Finale. A very interesting disc of not the usual repertoire, aside from the Debussy Sonata and the Ravel, of course. Now we get a disc of music for flute and harp with Jean-Pierre Rampal on the flute. We get an anonymous playing Greensleeves for flute and harp. Okay, we know that. Then we get Krumpholz's Sonata in F, and then Rossini's Introduction and Variations, Fauré's Berceuse, Ibert's Entr'acte, from what we don't know, and then this piece, a sonata by a guy named Damas. Now that's rather nice to have, don't you think? And then there's some stuff here. God only knows what it is and what the harp does. It's with Robert Véron-Lacroix, and Bernard, what's his name? Bernard Knudsen, baritone. He's singing things, and they're playing the harp, and there's a piano, and we don't know where they are, and I don't care. Maybe you do. Okay. Now we get Lily Laskine and someone else. Oh, this is harp, and there's something for horn. Music by Duvernay, Boxa, Doprat, which is fabulous. And there's a harp sonata in there that's 14 minutes long. That's a big work. More Boxa. Boxa, was a harpist. I wonder if there's no Parish Alvars here. I don't know. Then there's some guy playing the horn, and a duo by Petrini for 2 harps, along with Marianne Nordman harp and Dalvimar from duo number 2, and it's 11 minutes and 53 seconds long, so I can only imagine what the whole duo number 2 sounds like. These are harp duets. That's something, I guess. Then what is this business? Okay, more harp duets with Marianne Nordman harp. Oh my God, look at all this stuff. Music, I'm just going to go through this. Music by Haydn, Weber, Demar, Jean Thomas, Boxa, Hasselmans, Pönitz. I don't know who that is. The Spookhafte Gavotte. That sounds obscene, especially by Pönitz. And then we get La Barre, the Londonderry Air, Zabel, and Tournier, Marcel Tournier, Prelude number 4. Oh my God. Okay, these are like transcribed and arranged for Strange Things and the harp. Oh my God, it gets crazier. All right, more little harp diddlies. We have Bach, the Bourrée from Partita number 1, BWV 1002. Martielli's Adagio. I don't know. Tonsmans from For Children, Fauré, Pierney, Impromptu Caprice, Golistan, Ballade Roumaine. Roussel's Impromptu, Saint-Saëns Fantasy, Opus 95. That's a big work. Hasselmann's La Source, Schutz's Étude Mignonne, another etude by Heller. Séverac, the Valse Romantique. It's got to be a transcription of a piano work because Séverac only wrote 3 pieces of music and then dropped dead. Tournier, Étude de Concert, Pozzoli, Étude, Anonymous, Deep River. Oh dear. Oh dear, yes. Iber's Scherzetto, Granjanet's Automne, and Hasselmann's Folie. How many more of these do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, if you're getting bored, then you get the picture. Okay, now we get, more transcribed weird things. Schumann's Wiegendliedchens and the Vogel als Prophet. Oh my, yes, definitely transcriptions. The Prophet Bird. Rameau's Minuet, Debussy's The Girl with the Flaxen Harp, and Debussy's Valse Romantique, and more Boxa Etude, another etude. Then we get Mozart's Concerto for Flute and Harp. Looks like we've run out, and we're starting over, doesn't it? Debussy's Danse Sacrée et Profane. Looks like they're running out, and we're starting over, doesn't it? Oh, boy. All right, next. Oh, look, it's the Handel Concerto. Oh, my. And the Mozart Concerto for Flute and Harp again. And the Debussy Sonata for Flute, Viola, and Harp. All right. Now we're well into too much of a good thing territory. Wouldn't you agree? Huh? I do. I mean, oh, look, disc 12, Mozart, Concerto for Flute and Harp. I'm not kidding. Seriously, folks, how many is that now? 4? Ravel, Introduction in Allegro. Clermont, Trio for Flute, Cello, and Harp. Oh, look, something different. And the Roussel Serenade. The Roussel Serenade is an absolute huge masterpiece that everybody should hear. And all you need is 14 discs of harp music to get it. Fortunately, it's available in lots of Roussel discs. Oh, my God. Disc 13, Mozart, Concerto for Flute and Harp. This is with Thomas Beecham. I mean, number 5, right? 5 so far of Mozart's dullest concerto. Pretty special, huh? And then we get, the Debussy, Danse Sacrée et Profane, Bousset's Pièce de Concert, and under Henri Bousset, which is nice, and the Pyrenees Concertstück. Well, at least you get to hear that twice. Actually, that's rather interesting because it's the Guadeloupe concerts under Piero Coppola, which means that, and Pierre wrote this in 1935. This must have been like the premiere. I mean, that must have been it. And finally, Disc 14, the Debussy Sonata for Flute, Viola, and Harp. Third one of those. The Ravel Introduction and Allegro. Third one of those. Fauré's Impromptu. We've had a few of those. Pierne's Impromptu Caprice. We've had at least another one of those. Saint-Saëns Fantasy. I think we've had another one of those. I don't know. And let's see, Bernard. Ça fait pour aux oiseaux. Oh, ça fait peur. Oh, ça fait peur aux oiseaux. That makes the birds afraid. Well, there's an opportunity to scare your birds with a harp. How often does that happen in your life? And finally, Anonymous, harmonized by Mr. Ferrari. Mon père veut me marier, je saute, je danse. My father wants me to get married. I leap and dance. And that is le fin, le miracle that was Lily Laskine on 14 compact discs. Do you think it's too much of a good thing? I sure as hell think it's too much of a good thing. You know, when you eliminate the dross, as we used to call it, the dross, you know, the dross, D-R-O-S-S, you know, that means the ephemera, the stuff, the filler, the junk, the garbage, the crap, you know, what do you left with? 5 versions of the Mozart Concerto for Flute and Harp, 3 versions of the Debussy dances, 3 versions of his Sonata for Flute, Viola, and Harp, 3 or 4 versions of the Ravel Introduction and Allegro. I mean, kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? 2 Pyrenees Concertstücken. Wow. So my recommendation, in all honesty, much as I love Le Harpoon among all of the harpies that ever harped the harp, and I don't mean to harp on this, pardon the pun, is you don't need this. It's beautiful. It's lovely. You don't need this. You have to be really a little bit over the edge, which, you know, as I've always said, I've already too far gone. But that doesn't mean I'm not in a position to warn others. And that's what I'm doing. So keep on listening, folks. Harp music is beautiful, but you don't have to hear the same piece 5 times by the same person in the same box. Take care.